Alright, Common Core Algebra 1, here we go with properties of exponents. This is going to be part 2, and the majority of this is going to be what are the quotient properties. So really 2 quotient properties today, and then we're going to have one which is a negative power property. So something we're going to do when our exponent is actually negative, we're just going to change a little bit so that it becomes positive. Okay, so first part, quotient of a powers property. This means when we have like bases are divided, we are going to subtract the powers. So remember before when in our first video, we talked about when like bases were multiplied, we added. So now when we do the opposite, we divide, we subtract. So a simple example here, remember this x, if there is no exponent, really means there's a 1 there. So we're going to say 5 minus 1, which is going to give us x to the 4th. And that would be a simple example of quotient. Quotient meaning a fraction or division, and our powers, so we're going to divide. A little more complex here is when we have more than one variable. So start, because we have quotient division, we're going to maintain a quotient. And, well, actually we're not going to need to maintain a quotient at first. We may towards the end, but we'll talk about that after we do our negative powers. So a to the third, we want to match that up with a to the second. So 3 minus 2 is going to give us an a to the first. Remember, we're going to do things in alphabetical order. So next we're going to look at b to the 4th over b to the 7th. And 4 minus 7 is a negative 3. So we're going to get a negative 3 there. And then the last one, z to the 3rd. And remember again, this is actually z to the 1st. So we're going to end up with z to the 2nd. So a to the 1st, b to the negative 3, and z to the 2nd. And then our last rule of the day is going to talk about how we fix that negative exponent, because we don't ever want to have negative exponents. Okay, the next one then is very similar to our power of a product property. Again, quotient means division. So when a quotient, two things are divided, are raised to a power, we are going to raise the numerator and the denominator to that power. So same idea as power of a product. It's kind of like distribution. And raising each one to that power means that we multiply in this case. So we'd end up with x to the 20th over y to the 15th, because I distributed 5 times 4 is 20 and 5 times 3 is 15. Now because these are different bases, we don't want to subtract our exponents like we were talking in the last one. This is as simplified as we would get. Okay, then finally the last one, the negative property. And to apply a negative exponent, we're going to need to use something called the reciprocal. And the reciprocal keyword there we used was flipping it. Okay, or, and we're going to make then our power positive, flipping it, or you can think of changing location. Meaning if it is in the numerator, it's going to end up on our denominator, and if it was in the denominator with a negative exponent, it's going to end up in our numerator. So x to the negative 1 here, we want to think that there is a 1 in front of that, and so because we want the reciprocal, we're going to write a fraction and put x to the positive 1 in the denominator now, and that 1 comes to the numerator. Another kind of simple example here, we have a 5 and a y to the negative 3rd. Keeping in mind, like we have here, only the base with the negative power changes position or changes location. So really the only thing with the negative power is that y, so that's going to come to the denominator, and the power is now positive, but that 5 stays in the numerator. Okay, likewise, if we go back to that problem we talked about, I think it was that first problem, or the first difficult example, we had an a to the 1st, and then I believe it was y to the negative 3, and a z to the 1st. Because we have a negative exponent here, we wouldn't have been done yet. We need to write it as a fraction. Both a and z have positive exponents, so they stay in the numerator. B is going to move to the denominator and now needs to become a positive exponent. So those are the last 3 rules on our properties of exponents. So you can call them properties, rules, laws, whatever you want. We have a total of 7 now. So we talked about 3 for product, 2 for quotients, and then there was a 0 power property and the negative power property. I'll see you next time.